Today on Monkey Life, fears for the health of one of the best-loved chimps in the park.
I'm not going to upset Charlie, not for anything.
Vet Mike is baffled.
Something sinister's happening. I can't put it more simply.
And the big freeze comes to Monkey World. This is Monkey World in Dorset. Tucked away deep in the English countryside, it's the largest sanctuary for monkeys and apes on the planet. And this is Dr. Alison Cronin, the primate's best friend. Alison and her team spend their lives rescuing...
Everybody's brilliant, really good.
...and rehabilitating primates from all over the world.
It's a good one, we're pleased with you now.
They currently look after more than 240 monkeys and apes from 15 different species. It's quiet at the rescue centre. The weather's taken a distinctly wintry turn, and there are few visitors. But the team still have to take care of all the park's wildlife.
You can just make sure they don't come out, that'd be cool.
Some of the primates are braving the day, including Sage, the Siamang gibbon. Others have chosen to wrap up and keep warm indoors. Alison is away in Vietnam at the sanctuary's sister centre for rescued gibbons, leaving Jeremy in charge back home in Dorset. With the weather looking like it might get worse, he's hoping for a quiet day. But he's been called to the pavilions, the home of the bachelor chimps. The primate care team are worried about Charlie, one of the most iconic and popular inhabitants at the park. They've isolated him from the rest of the group.
You did like those yesterday, those are the plums. You don't want that. What about banana? Fancy a bit of banana? Take that as a no. Sometimes you push food in front of his nose and you don't want to know, but if you just let him, you know, look at this. All right, let me have a little choose here. All right. What's all this about? You're just playing with it, really, are you? He's lost a lot of weight, nearly 10 kilos, very, very suddenly. So that is the worrying thing as to why.
Jeremy and Charlie have had a very special relationship for more than 20 years. Charlie arrived at the park in 1989, joining the original group alongside Butch. But at approximately 7 years old, Charlie was in a much worse state than the others. He was a drug addict, doped with Valium daily to keep him under control, and had fractured feet, cataracts, a broken jaw, machete wounds to his head, and most of his teeth had been knocked out. After 5 years as a Spanish beach photographer's prop, he was scarred both physically and mentally. From the beginning, it was obvious there was something different about Charlie. His best friends were Jeremy, whom he adored.
You're not very good with these knots, are you? Albert Einstein, eat your heart out. What we got? What we get today, huh? What we got in your lunchbox today, little boy? You want those?
And Jim Cronin, Alison's late husband who started the park.
Hey. No. Oh, I'm sorry. Have I made a mess of it? Oh, he's a good boy. Oh, he's a good boy.
He's one of my favorites. You know, you shouldn't have favorites, but he's been through some stuff in his life, Charlie, for sure.
In his chimp life, he was number 2 to alpha male Rodney, but did little to fulfill his role helping keep the females under control. Charlie appeared to have fits where he created havoc and then quietened, looking confused and upset. Afterwards, he would make it up with Rodney, but he could never fully integrate into the group. Jim and Jeremy began to suspect that some of Charlie's problems were medical.
Stop it.
We think his eyesight is deteriorating. And what we want to do is get an eye surgeon in, have a good look at his eyes, see what's going on, and if there's anything we can do about it.
Exactly, he's developed a little bit of inflammation from some infection, unless there's a brain injury or something.
That's not beyond the bounds of possibility.
Despite trying to get on with the other chimps, Charlie eventually had to be separated from them. In the middle of a free-for-all, he offered his hand in friendship, only to get it bitten by another chimp.
Charlie, that's not good at all.
The injury was so bad his finger was amputated, and he was permanently removed from the group. Jeremy and Jim were always there to support him.
This is a temporary solution at best for Charlie. He's got Jeremy to look after him, and Charlie loves him. But Charlie is a social animal. Chimpanzee needs to be with other chimps.
And a new rescue in Spain provided the answer. Paquito was the performing pet of a Spanish actor, but had got so boisterous he couldn't control him. He was left locked up and chained in a shed for several years. Paquito had had no contact with other primates, and it was kind-hearted Charlie who taught him chimp behaviour. Once they bonded, the solution to their joint social problems was to merge them with the nursery group. But eventually, both became too boisterous and moved in with the bachelor chimps, led by Butch, who remembered Charlie from the old days.
It was a huge reunion, I'm sure of it, for Butch and
They remembered
Charlie.
each other for sure.
No question.
Butch went in with the play face.
Yeah, no question.
Charlie's favourite pastimes have always been eating and displaying at passing tanks from the nearby army base. But above all, it's been his special relationship with Jim
You're such a tough guy.
and Jeremy
Yes, that's my boy.
that has captured the public's imagination and sustained Charlie from the early days of his rehabilitation to the good times that followed. Because of his tragic background, Charlie, now 27, is old before his time. Jeremy has called in vets Mike Nathan and David Harding.
He's like little old man.
The vets have decided a scan may reveal the cause of Charlie's illness. Blood samples taken earlier in the week were inconclusive.
It's a bit of a long shot because it's a conscious animal, and I will have to do it because he don't want the vet with him. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll be working on direct instructions from David, who really is good at this sort of thing.
Just try and angle it forward up towards the liver. So much gas and fat in there, you're just getting a crappy image.
If Dave comes in and stands in the corner, just slowly...
Let's see what happens, because
Can you see what happens?
But as soon as he starts getting...
Yeah, no.
Yeah, as soon as he starts, we'll... Yeah,
Yeah, happy to do that.
because
I'll go in and...
chances are he will. You know, if at any point he says enough, then we'll stop. I'm not going to upset Charlie, not for anything. I'll duff him up for you. No. No, I think he's...
Not going to start like that. The thing is that when you know what you do, you've got to push really quite hard.
Yeah,
in
Or
a
should we
conscious manner.
try sedating him?
Yeah, if you
Yeah,
want to
I
back
mean-
off then.
The only thing I think, if you're going down the route of sedating him, then would it be sensible to delay it till we can X-ray him as well?
Well, the X-ray machine...
Charlie doesn't want Dave near, so they abandon the scan and decide to try again when an X-ray machine is available.
The problem for me is what
And both can be done at the same time under sedation. While Jeremy tries to make Charlie comfortable, the care team lets some of the other chimps through to the outdoor enclosures.
It's great. I've never seen snow in Dorset so far. This is the first for me, and it's probably the first for quite a few of the chimps here. Maybe some of the oldies might have seen snow, but most of the guys won't have seen snow ever. So they're all quite excited. They're all like eating the snow, getting big handfuls and stuffing it in their mouths. It's almost like natural enrichment for them because it's something that they don't see every day.
The chimps' first forage of the day is usually a noisy affair, but today they all seem a lot less boisterous. They're fascinated by the white stuff.
I think they just maybe enjoy the feeling of the cold. I don't know. I suppose we enjoy eating ice lollies, so there's no reason why they wouldn't. I mean, they love the ice lollies with the juice in the summer, but again, with the ice, it's not got any flavour in it, so it must just be that maybe they like the feeling of the tongue going numb or something, I'm not sure.
Sausage on you. Get you nice and warm again.
Jeremy is extremely worried about Charlie, one of the best-loved chimps at the park.
All right. Oh, you want your foot rubbed? Okay.
He's called in the vets and is ringing Alison hourly with updates. She's in Vietnam visiting the Gibbon Rescue Centre and not due back for a few more days.
Charlie is a very, very, very sick animal. And because of his medical background, all his resistance will be low to fight anything off because he's got very few of his organs are working properly anyway. And so that makes him more vulnerable.
Vets Mike and Dave agree.
Quite obvious he's lost a lot of weight. When an animal loses that amount of weight, you're always worried about what nasty thing might be going on inside him.
The bloods really have flagged up a level of anemia with no obvious cause, and what we normally call the anemia of chronic disease, which suggests a sort of chronically ill animal.
Just lying here, I'm just thinking of all the things that are broken on Charlie. He's clearly had a broken foot at some stage. He's got cataracts. He's obviously had a fractured jaw and skull at some stage. He's got wounds on him that were probably machete wounds. He's question mark brain damage with epileptic fits. His teeth are, how many teeth has he got now? 3 or 4? I don't know. Not many. And he clearly had a big lump that's just gone from his jaw at some point. Yeah. His stomach, actually, is about the only thing that really was working all right. You know, he'd eat for Africa, and he'd never had stomach issues. You just never gave up there, did you?
The vets don't have an answer without further tests, and no one really wants to put poor Charlie through that. The team decide to let him rest and see if there's any improvement in his condition. Jeremy stays with him throughout the rest of the day and into the night. Next morning, and the weather is even worse. The park has just closed, but the primate care team have struggled into work to look after the animals. Keeper Kate wants to make sure her charges don't get winter colds and makes up a special cocktail of honey and lemon to boost their immune systems.
Colds can go throughout the group pretty quickly and they hit chimps pretty hard, so if we can try and prevent that, then that's the best thing. A couple of cups. Want some lemon, guys? This is Simon. Marjorie. So we tried to give cup to everyone, but obviously they come round again, but it doesn't matter. Good boy, Simon.
But while Hananya's group enjoy their medicinal drinks, over at the bachelor group, it's not just the weather that's getting worse. Jeremy has called the vets back in. Charlie has gone downhill overnight.
We've just put Charlie on a drip. He's deteriorating. Something sinister's happening. I can't put it more simply. He's not in pain. He's just fading. And if that's the case, I'm going to let him fade. We're not going to do anything invasive. We have to accept that something like that is happening with him.
His sensory perception's still there, and I just don't believe he's suffering pain. I think he's just drifting.
If we see he's suffering, we'll help him. It may be that a little bit of treatment might make a difference, but I'm going to put him through pain. And I can't see the point of doing that when I know I've got an animal that I'm losing. He's been through a lot, this poor fella. But he's also served the purpose of educating a lot of people, because he was a beach chimp, and he's educated people to try and realise the things that go on. I just hope he fades away. I don't want to have to, all of us, in terms of putting animals to sleep and euthanasia, it's always hard.
As the day wears on, it becomes more and more evident that Charlie isn't going to make it. Jeremy, Mike, and keeper Cara stay by his side and try their best to make him comfortable. But as the hours pass, Jeremy and Mike realise they have no choice. After his brave battle through life, courageous Charlie has given up, and there is no more hope.
Thanks, mate. We had nowhere to go, so we ended it for him. When you see somebody every day of your life, they leave a void when they go. It isn't always a positive void they leave, or a negative void they leave, but they leave a void. There's always a gap.
Well, like everything here at the park, life marches on, no matter how significant or insignificant the loss is. Life just continues to move forward here, and you do the best you can at all times for every individual, and some of them have longer and more emotional links, which Charlie was a perfect case of that. So, yeah, you do feel very high-strung and emotional about the whole thing, but then at the same time, the next day dawns and there's either a new arrival, somebody else who needs your help, and therefore You have to pick yourself up by your bootstraps. This is our saving grace in a certain way, is that the animals keep our focus and attention, because even if somebody does pass away and it is terribly upsetting and emotional, you've got the other 240 odd faces looking to you saying, we need you too.
The day after we lost Charlie, I did go down to the statue of Jim and Charlie and tell them both off for leaving me with this, you know, abandoning the ship and leaving me with all this lot, you know, doing the, you know, setting it all up and then clear off and leaving me with all the responsibility, but I got it off my chest.
The fact that both Jim and Charlie have passed away now is just terribly tragic for us, but, you know, we've got sort of an incredible memory of them both, a sculpture which is just breaks my heart to look at, but also fills me full of optimism, because Charlie is a tribute to that, the optimism that exists here at Monkey World in terms of rehabilitating all of the monkeys and apes that come our way.
Aren't you the best, huh? You're the best.
Next time on Monkey Life, the team are in Vietnam for groundbreaking eye surgery on a golden-cheeked gibbon.
It is a very, very special and very, very difficult case for us.
And Alison hits trouble when she tries to rescue a rare silvered langur monkey.
It's okay. We will stop. Don't worry.